Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly, along with Chad and Josh, who is fishing in Jerry Parker's boat, which is pretty damn funny as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
Jerry Parker's not in it. He's fishing the Mississippi right now at Chester. So
There's nothing better than working on.
I'm gonna try to slime his boat up.
That's about as good as it gets. Now, I'm not kidding you.
It's worth a shot.
Oh, man.
I'm ready to see the very first fish in that boat be not him.
That is what I'm hoping for.
That would be awesome. What lake are you at, Josh?
I'm on Crab Orchard. It's the closest one to the house. So
that would be my favorite then.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Looks like we got a pretty good crowd in chat tonight.
Looks like they're starting to come in.
Yep.
I got Miss Cindy Stokes has made it in first, for what I've seen. Mike Sampson, LG Bass, member Uptown Chrissy Brown. Mr. Dave Funk, Kentucky Redneck Outdoors. Hey, there's Parker Pursuits. We got Dale Hayslip. We got Troy from Real and Virtual Outdoors. Member Danny Stone Outdoors.
There's Betty Cross, has been a member for 18 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you, Miss Sis. We got Size Matters Catfishing, Realville Catfishing, and Little River. We got Fishing for Whiskers, Piscator Outdoors, Mark Smith, Nubby's Catfishing.
Paul Boyd.
Mr. Paul Boyd. Would everybody go ahead and say hello in chat, and make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button before we get started.
Now, I would like to let everybody know that Mark will not be having a Catfish and Crappie show tonight. He has some family issues going on, and he's not going to be able to get back in time to have a show or to go fishing live. So he'll let everybody know when there's another project of his coming up.
All right. There's Sean Abney and Pontoon Jody, and
looky there, Danny Stone's been a member for 18 months. Thank you, Danny.
I didn't bring up. I got it on the big screen, but I didn't bring it up, so I don't see those.
Danny says, Josh, planning a trip to Reelfoot Lake. Be there or be square. Reelfoot is kind of a bucket list place for me, but everybody says don't take your own boat down there.
I've always been told to rent a boat down there.
Yeah. The sad part is I don't want to do that. I like mine.
That's how I am with mine, too, but I like my lower unit to be attached to the motor.
Well, yeah.
I'm with Josh. I tell you what, we went down there. We stopped by there after a trip down to the Tennessee River one day. We decided to spend one day. We left, stayed the night down there by the lake, and we went fishing that next morning. And I think we made it about 20 feet from the boat launch where we was, and that was the area we fished because you couldn't go left, right, straight, anywhere without hitting and bouncing off those.
That's what everybody tells me. Sean Abney has joined us. Dale Hayslip, Pontoon Jody, Size Matters Catfishing. Seems like there was somebody else. Oh,
cotton picking fishing.
James Dockery Fishing.
Josh, I thought that boat looked nicer than that.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Nubbies, I think we got him. I think you got him a while ago. There's Richard with Fishing and Freedom. Mike Sampson, of course. He was in earlier.
What's up, Richard?
Take a boat to Reelfoot that you don't mind leaving without.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
Danny, if you do it sometime this week, I'll just take Parker's boat down it.
There you go.
It's one way to find out if it runs all right.
Yeah, I'm on the SS Chunky Pursuits. So.
Oh, and there's Christina Dunnigan, the queen of the weekend angler boat.
There's Mr. Maurice Gayson.
Glad
What's
to
up,
see
bud?
Maurice in here.
Yeah.
There's Richard with Mad Catter's Catfishing.
Hey, Richard.
Always glad to see Richard in here.
All right. Yeah.
We got
I like
a
to see
pretty
him.
interesting. What is that, Chad?
I said I like to see them all that's in here.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a pleasure. We got a pretty interesting topic tonight. You guys bounced that around a little bit the other night, and it's something that's kind of a taboo with a lot of people, but it's really not.
No, it's one that everybody hates it. But if you get the feel for it, if you get to the understanding of it, it will help you out so much. You can eliminate so much water.
And you can, 90% of fishing is eliminate where the fish are not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creole catfishing, any fin is possible. KY Redneck Outdoors, River Rat 3030. We're glad to see all of you guys in here tonight.
Yeah. And thank you to Ray Smith, been a member for 26 months.
Ray is a heck of a guy, and he's been a huge part of everything we've done for many, many years. And we're so glad that he is. The Thermocline is something that separates the warmer water from the cooler water that's on the bottom. Right. It shows up on your depth finder, and even though there's fish sometimes below the Thermocline, don't waste your time trying to catch them.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is a waste of time. The active fish and the fish that are going to bite and the fish you want to target are above the Thermocline, regardless of whether people tell you that catfish are bottom feeders, or they're this or they're that. They feed throughout the entire water column.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But a lot of the time they are down low, but they will never feed actively below the Thermocline, where the warm water and the cold water separates.
Oh,
you're not going to have any fish surviving down there underneath that Thermocline.
Not for any period of time, no.
They can go below it, they can go into it, but they're going to come out of it. That's down there. That water is, giant temperature difference. That water's denser. The oxygen depletes out of it because it's not mixing with the upper water in the water column. They don't want to be down there.
No, they don't. And most of them that are down there, they're only going to be down there for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be there long. Creel says, Josh, I heard there's a boat clearance sale at your house that begins 5 minutes after you left.
I don't know about that.
No, I don't either, because Christina likes to go too.
Yeah, that's true.
Which makes it easier for all of us.
I'm still doing good. I sold a boat a few weeks ago, so that gets me in good shape.
So she at least has a parking spot.
Yeah, she's got a parking spot. We got the picnic table moved out of her parking spot. I think the only thing there's a grill.
Well, that's not bad. She'd probably run over that.
Yeah. Caitlin's bicycle was behind her car the other day.
Oh, man.
That was fun.
I bet.
Jody, I would go with Catfish and Crappie being the foremost expert on Garmin fish finders. Just listen to every show he's ever been on. He knows all about them. I would get with him, and he will be able to help you out. He might not be able to rest you for a little while. He's got a little busy evening going on right now, but
tomorrow
he'll get back. He'll get back to you.
Yeah, Mark is sharp on those. So
he is.
Terry Lane, welcome. But it's not rocket science, and it's very easy to see on any of the newer kinds of sonar units.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what brand it is; it all basically shows up the same on there, and you'll know it when you see it because it's a dividing line at a lower depth.
Now, Josh, does Crab Orchard have a Thermocline yet, or is it working on
it? It probably does. I didn't bring that fish finder with me for this boat. I wasn't sure how it was going to run. Chances are it does, and it's probably my guess would be sitting in the probably about the 12 to 14 foot range off the top of my head. That's where it would usually be at this time of year. And this time of year, I just forget about anything. I mean, Crab Orchard's not a deep lake to begin with, but I forget about any kind of depth this time of year. And I'm up fishing. I'm 3 feet off the bank. I'm trying to catch the fish that are up there. They've moved up shallow. They've adjusted their pattern. And of course, the whole back of this bay is full of shad.
I'm going to share this. That way, when you're looking at a depth finder too, just to try to show you guys, I think a lot of people probably know this, but you'll have a distinct, and the higher you turn your frequency up on it, you'll have this distinct line that goes across, and then you have your cooler water down here on the below, but then, like Josh and Lyle was saying, there's no oxygen down there.
No.
You may occasionally, like you said, see a fish that has either went down there and they'll come back up. They're not going to stay down there very long. Depending on, especially the thicker the thermocline gets, you won't see anything. And you can see all those fish right across the top of it.
That's right. That's right.
I'm out the studio.
One of the big questions that I always get asked is, how come there's not a thermocline on a river? Because it has current.
It has current that's keeping that water churned up. Now I have seen them develop on the Ohio in
I
stretches.
have as well.
Yeah, but we've talked about this a lot. In the summertime, a lot of times the Ohio River has no current.
The Ohio River, there's times I thought it was flowing backwards. So,
and that would probably be because the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Really. It's just like that way there every year. And it's people that fish it and love it. They're used to it. It doesn't seem to bother them too much. Guys that are used to heavy current, when they go down there, they think, what? And why do they call this a river? Well, because it is. But it's tough if you're not used to a place that, when you're used to fishing current, you go down there and there is none, you got to resort to fishing it like a lake.
Yep.
And a lot of times that doesn't work on the Ohio because it'll have just enough that it's not like that. So, it's a tough river to learn. The people that live there and fish it a lot, they kind of got it figured out. And guys that go down there and fish it a lot, they eventually do figure it out.
Yeah. So I know Josh touched on it a little bit, finding places to fish when there is a thermocline, especially in a lake, the lakes like that. I think the number one go-to is to find the outskirts. I know we usually go up to, there's a few lakes up here in Ohio, Rocky Fork and areas like that, where we do like some get-togethers and stuff. And a lot of times this time of the year, or August time, you may only have 12 feet of water, 15 feet of water, and everything below it is the thermocline, right? Finding that line, that's where I usually do really well, is just above it, within a few feet. So if you have a 15-foot thermocline, so it's 15 foot down, that 3 to 5 foot above that range, that 10 to 15 range is where I usually look for fish on the outskirts of the lake, and usually do pretty well.
Yeah, one of the things that I always try to do is head shallow. If you got a thermocline that's set at, as an example, 20 feet. Well, if you're in 40 feet of water, you either got to be suspended fishing, or head to a shallow flat, because if you find a shallow flat, it'll be stacked.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite place to usually fish it, is the shallow flats.
Absolutely.
I know last year when we went up there, we rode that 12-foot line. Sorry, hold on 1 second.
He must be thirsty, and he's got dinner.
Man.
Wow. Miss D is taking care of Chadwick tonight.
Yes,
That's
she
right.
is.
My daughter just walked in and started handing me bags and drinks, and I love it.
Absolutely.
But, that thermocline last year when we went up there was like right at 15 feet. And what I ended up finding was just this perfect 12-foot flat, and we just kept dragging it back and forth.
That's
And
right.
we were picking up fish left and right up there. It was perfect.
Yep.
But
And
the other
that
thing too,
works.
fork.
Spork.
But the other thing, like what you just said though, is that suspend drifting right over the thermocline. You know, people might not think that those fish are, you know, especially catfish, or out in the middle of a big old lake, suspended 20 foot above the bottom, but they are.
Yeah, and you know, if you have a spot like that and you can't get to the shallow water or you can't make it work for you, that's where bobbers will really work. Suspend it right over top of them, and you can have your way with them if they're feeding. If you can get where they're at, you can. They'll like you a lot.
And follow the bait. Follow the bait. That's where fish. That's where the fish are going to be at. That's like the cove that I am in today is probably no more than, I probably ain't sitting in 2 or 3 feet of water right now. But the whole everything, there's shad jumping all around me.
Welcome fishing with squirrel.
I'm not jumping anywhere.
Under a certain depth, I don't think it forms one. I think it can heat all the sun can heat all the way down to the bottom. So,
Well, yeah, I agree.
That's the thing about the top layer. The top layer is, you know, you have the sun that warms it, right? But then you also have the wind that keeps it circulating right above that thermocline. And if you do any kind of research on it, you'll see it almost is like a top water current itself. When you have wind that pushes through across the lake from this side to this side across the top, and it'll kind of circulate itself across the top of that thermocline. Now on the bottom of it, it's all dead. There's no movement there at all. But I don't think so, Josh. I think every once in a while, if you look in the it might have a few holes here and there in a cove that if you have a deeper like little channel that goes up into it, it might ride up there. But most of the time, those shallows like what you're fishing is not going to have one.
No, it's not going to have one at all. Or shouldn't have one.
Creel says, how would thermocline affect a generally shallow body of water 10 foot with no current?
Yeah, I think that's what we were just talking about.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to.
I
don't believe you're going to see one.
No, it'll all be warm.
Yeah.
Brian B. Catfishing and Fishing the Rut has joined us. Welcome, fellas.
I mean, this cove I'm in, I just stuck my hand outside the boat, and I mean, it feels almost like bathwater. So.
Wow. Fishing with squirrel. Good to see you in here tonight. I don't. It has to be a fairly deep body of water to have a thermocline, or in my opinion, it does. And I mean, fairly deep. I'm talking probably 20, 25 feet, something
That's
like that.
I was going to say somewhere between 20 and 30.
You start to see it is in that 20 to 25 feet zone.
Everyone, the paid tourists, welcome. But shallow bodies of water, they just warm up so fast and stay warm. I don't think that it affects them.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever fished a lake, though, that has been just 10 feet in a boat. Most of the lakes that I've ever fished, you have that 25 to 40 foot deep, those areas. And a lot of times, throughout the entire summer, that thermocline is going to be at least the bottom 10 to 15 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it absorbs quite a few feet usually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is one where Lake of Egypt down here by me. At the main channel of Lake of Egypt is anywhere from 25 to 30 feet. And that this time of year you're looking to it's a little bit clearer water. It might make it down to 15, 16 foot. But wherever it's at, you just stop, and that those fish, the active fish that you want to catch, that are going to bite your bait or lure or whatever you're throwing at them, they're going to be above that. So you just eliminated half your water right there.
That's 100% correct. And if you ever want to try suspend drifting,
That's the time
That's
to do
the perfect time to do it. It really is. Welcome, Stan.
Suspend them couple feet above the thermocline and let her rip.
Yeah, and that's something else while you're talking about that, Josh. Try to get it above them fish, wherever the depth is, because they would rather, their eyes are on top of their head.
Oh.
They'd rather go up to get that
Come on, take it.
than go down. So that just works that way. There was somebody that joined us again. I don't know if we mentioned, but Freddie is in here along with Brian.
Freddie?
Stan. There was somebody else. Gosh, I hate to miss anybody. Sean T Outdoors.
Well, yeah, right there's Freddie saying that he's got 3 shallow lakes here that average about 15-foot depth. The thermocline in it every year is usually 6 to 8 feet deep.
Wow. I've never seen anything like that.
Oh.
No, and the other thing, I always try to at least make sure I'm on the right trains of thought when do a little looking around and the research and stuff like that. And water clarity plays a part in it as well. How clear,
Yes.
a lot of times you'll have really muddy, stained waters and stuff like that. Or, we've got some lakes down here in Kentucky that are crystal clear. You can see, 50, 60 feet down and it looks, you can look at pebbles on the bottom part of it. There's a big difference in what that's going to do to your thermocline each year. Where in a warm, the muddier water, that water is going to warm up even faster on the top and create that layer in that middle.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
I'm glad you think it's true. I just made it up.
Well, it sounded good, Chad.
I'm just messing with you.
Chad did his homework today, so
I did a little homework in there. Well, I mean, it's interesting to me, especially, because you've already got the spawn that's, just happened. We're starting to come out of spawn, and then you throw in another aspect of, especially in the lakes, where you're already frustrated with not being able to find the, feeding fish through that. Now you got to try to figure out where they're hiding on these edges, and you would think a lot of times that, okay, if it's cutting off this much, surface area of the lake that the fish aren't going to be in, that it would make it easier, right? It's pushing to the sides and stuff like that, but that's not always the case. You still got to find them.
That's exactly right. Welcome, Lance. Glad to have you in here. Creel says we don't have clear water there. I've never once seen a fish on a line before it broke the surface. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He got the murky water down there.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Creel, you don't stick your hand down there. It might be a shark or a gator. So
you guys got to think though what all that water has to do to get to Jeremy. You got people like up here in the Ohio that are, we're dumping.
No telling what in it.
No telling what in it. And then you got people like Danny Stone and Jerry Parker and them. They're taking baths down there in the Mississippi. So by the time it gets down to the Chafalaya and the southern Mississippi, that's
yeah. But Danny and Parker, that's only on Saturday. That's just every Saturday that they do that.
They claim after that water goes so far, runs over the rocks so many times that it kind of cleanses itself. But just how much stange can it get off of it?
Not after Jerry and Danny get done with it. No. Dave Funk, yeah, I would love to come up to Hoover sometime. I've never fished it before.
Oh yeah.
I know some guys that like that lake a lot.
Yeah.
Creel says, "Why do you think I don't keep many fish?"
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's see.
Free's got a good question. So when you find a fish, are they stacked up or just mark them here and there?
Yes.
Both.
All the above.
I mean, they're going to congregate. I think they like to congregate post spawn, and they congregate by size. So
that's exactly right.
If you're out, I mean, at least channel cats that way, and blues probably for the most part, it seems like too. But if you're catching a bunch of 3 to 5 pound channels, that's all about you're going to catch out of there because they all run together the same size. But I think the larger ones, I think they're going to scatter. They do in this lake. The larger ones scatter and go up. Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Sean T, that might be the comment of the night.
That's wow. Good job, Sean. You broke my
Welcome, Cincinnati Cats.
Wow.
Jen Smith, hey, how you doing?
Wow.
I'm still trying to get over that. That's pretty good. But yeah, that's exactly right. And
That's where ginger ale comes from.
I think you're right, JGL. How long do you guys think that the Thermocline lasts? As just as an average, nothing's ever set in stone anymore.
I would say a couple months.
Yeah, it's gonna around here. It's gonna last until the temperatures start going down. Maybe September-ish, October.
Yeah, that's exactly
about
right.
September. Because you got to think. Remember, in lakes, they're the first to heat up and the first to cool down.
Mm-hmm.
Typically,
Mhm.
right? So that water will start dropping faster than your river usually will. A lot of times, and same thing in the springtime. It's going to be it'll be at 70, plus, well before the river does.
That's right.
And once that water starts cooling down, that's when that bottom layer starts moving up. And it starts almost doing a flip flop with that, and that oxygen that pushes that less denser water, once it becomes less dense, down to the bottom and kind of opens it all back up and does away with it.
Yep. Now, if for some reason your lake develops current, the Thermocline may leave.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's definitely some lakes that have a small current and stuff, and that does
Think about
help.
a power plant lake.
We try not to because it always comes into Baldwin.
Well, I mean, it does come into Baldwin. Lake of Egypt used to be that way when they were running that big unit all the time. It was, when they were running the big unit, circulating water all the time, you didn't see it. Now that they're not, you start to see it more often.
Yeah.
Sean T says he's not going fishing until November. It's too dang hot.
I can understand that.
Crappie barbecue killing me. I will say that we got 70. We had 79 awesome people just sitting there watching. We got 39 thumbs up. Come on, folks. Help Mr. Lyle out and get those thumbs up.
And that's another. When you start talking about the lake turning over, that is, you're somewhat dealing with that, and that's where you start seeing fish kills.
Yep.
Well, and it happens a lot in farm ponds.
Yes.
Oh yeah, big time.
We had my cousin. They used to own a big farm, lots of row crops, great deer hunting, and all that stuff. And they across the road from one of their ponds was an old store building that in the late 1800s, early 1900s was a place that everybody stopped after they left St. Louis. So you'd stop at Edgewood, and it was a store there. You could get supplies and things. That pond got filled in over the century, and I was around it my entire life, and there was lots of channel cat in it, big channel cat. There was lots of bass, everything in the world. One day it turned over, and nobody had ever knew that it had ever done that before, and most all of the fish in there was lost. There was huge fish floating of all denominations, crappie and bass and big channel cat. There was a couple of flatheads that somebody put in there sometime or another. Pretty good size. They wasn't giants, but pretty nice fish, 15, 20 pounders. But they lost, as far as anybody knows, they lost all of them. And at that time was the perfect time to go in there and dig it out, make it deep again because it filled in so much. And that's what they did. Now, how long it'll last before that fills in and happens again, because it doesn't have a lot of drainage. It's a fairly flat area where it's at, but it does have some drainage. And anytime you have drainage, you're going to get them fill in when you don't have current.
Mm-hmm.
Stan 3 says, will a big rain change the thermocline? I think there's a couple factors that go into it. One is the size of the lake. A lake the size of Lake of the Ozarks, it's probably not going to do a whole lot of damage to a thermocline, right? One big storm. Now, a smaller, like we've got some like 90, 100 acre lakes, a good rainstorm, absolutely it would change, the amount of, depends on how many inches of rain you're getting in that area, because rainwater's all oxygenated rain. We all love, probably heard it our entire lives. The fish bite the best when it's raining, right? Because it's adding that oxygen into the water. So depending on if it's a sprinkle all day long, probably not. But if you get a downpour and it's a smaller lake, it probably definitely could change it up for at least a couple days until things settle in and that thermocline will build right back.
And if you don't think that's true, watch your grass turn green after it rains.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just necessarily from the rain. There's something about rainwater that's different than spreading it out with a garden hose. I'm just telling you.
Absolutely.
Oh man! But you start thinking, you dump a bunch of rain, you have a big storm or a week of good rains, and that water's got to go somewhere. It's influxing into that lake. That's the lake. That's its job. It gathers up water, but then it's going out to spillway. So now you've created a current. Mother Nature's created a current.
Yep,
that's right.
And I have seen it on lakes where after a big rain, where you get somewhere like a choke point, like a bridge, and you can tell there's a current running through there. You can see it.
Yep.
Any other time it's a lake, but right at that point you got to treat it like a river.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that's what we were talking about earlier, the Ohio River. And you're talking about flood control lakes, reservoirs. A lot of those do have dams, at the ends of them, or the Ohio River's got dams throughout it. And in the summertime, we see it occasionally where being dammed off, and they're not releasing water hardly through it ever at all.
Mm-hmm.
Where we start seeing a thermocline even on the Ohio River occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And thing with them lakes. But like Josh was just saying, you either have a spillway that goes over, or some of the bigger lakes I see, they have one down at the bottom of a dam where it's pulling water,
from the bottom, and that's the ones you really like.
Yeah. So ones like that, you do have a little bit of flow. So that may, depending on how much they're flowing through, it may keep the thermocline down quite a bit.
We have Art Jr. has joined us. Mark with Catfish and Crappies listening as he's driving home. Glad to see you in here tonight for a little bit, Mark. Know you got a lot of stuff going on.
I wore my Catfish and Crappie shirt just to show some brotherly love tonight.
Fucking up. LG Bass has joined us. Jimmy Geiger. A Parker Pursuit says nitrogen in the rain, and I believe that to affect grass, crops, gardens, everything like that. Now, how much does it affect fishing? That's a great question. I don't think there's ever been a study done on that.
I don't know.
But where else are you going to get water from lakes and stuff? You're not going to, it comes from snow melt, or it comes from rain, it comes from something. It doesn't come from a water hose like your yard and stuff gets. So, but it has to have, Quiet Man Curtis, it has to have some effect. Michael Barillo, welcome, my friend.
Size better. Chad is a thermoclinologist studying thermoclinology at Harvard. Not hardly.
But he has done his homework. Hey, Mike.
Again, like I said, guys, all this stuff is at our fingertips anymore.
That's right.
And we give bass fishing a hard time, but stuff like the Thermocline and all that, that is, all those little things have been just analyzed to death.
Absolutely.
By the bass fishermen.
Yeah. And they've been doing it for years.
And they have, so we're there. Go and, don't be afraid to check out some of the bass fishing forums and everything. You're going to find a lot of good information. You're going to have to wade through and filter through a bunch of BS. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to find some good information in there too. And like everything on the internet, you're going to find conflicting information.
Yeah.
So
some may not be correct.
You mean not everything on the internet's true?
Well, here's a question for you. Because I think all three of us are primarily going to be most of the time on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a graph, and we're probably gonna be able to see that thermocline on the graph. Now, for people that don't, Danny Stone, he's primarily a bank fisherman.
Yep.
Even though he's on the river, maybe every once in a while he goes to a lake. Maybe he switches stuff up. How is he going to know thermocline in a lake like that? What is he looking for? I'll let you guys answer that. You guys are smart. You guys are the smart ones.
That's one where you almost have to have multiple lines out and let the fish tell you what they want.
That's right.
You're going to stagger. You're going to fan those baits out and try to stagger them up that ledge all the way back up to where you're at, and find the one. You're going to find the ones that, hey, this one here that I'm counting. I may not know the depth, but I may know when I cast out there, it's taken 3 seconds to feel that sinker hit the bottom.
Yep.
This one and everything above that, I'm getting bid on. These other two out here that are taking 5, 6, 7 seconds to hit the bottom, nothing's touched. That's when I'm yanking those up, and I'm going to try to cast those somewhere else shallower. So,
yeah. And another thing, even that's a great thought of as long as you're using the same size sinker and stuff, how long it's taking to hit the bottom and staggering them. But I put out a video a while back about, and I'm sure there's hundreds of other videos about it, but using stuff like Navionics, that way you can kind of get an idea of what you're throwing into there.
That's
you
right.
may see that you're throwing to 15 feet or 10 feet, or if you throw out a little bit further, you might be hitting 25 and be in the thermocline and not you just wasting your time, right? So,
yeah, I agree. Steve Mosley, welcome, my friend.
What's up, Steve?
Here's a comment that I found it doesn't really pertain to fishing, maybe, but dry land farmers have used nitrogen fertilizers for their crops because all their water comes out of the ground. And that's right, because it's irrigated. And they put the nitrogen on it because there's no nitrogen in that water, or very little, and that replaces it through fertilizer. But here's a better comment. Danny is a dirty chicken user now.
Now that's coming from somebody. We call that bait Parkerized chicken for a reason.
I'll say, we used to have a lot less thermoclines before all that chicken grease got in the lakes.
Well, you know what I've said for years, or for the last few years, chicken wouldn't cost so much if Dieter Melhorn had quit using so much of it.
Amen, Dad.
There we go.
Danny Stone says, if you read the bass fishing articles, go to the bathroom and lock the door so you don't get caught. Creole says, easy answer, just going to the river. Go back to the river. There you go.
Stand 2, fishing 3. 2 stands, fishing 3. I'm going to get that figured out. Does it matter for night or day, or for fishing in shallows? No. I've caught them in the dead of noon. Sun straight overhead, and I've caught them 18 inches of water. If you stand it right now in my area, it's so hot that I ain't gonna be out there that time.
There was a guy coming off the water whenever I was putting the boat on that said he and his wife were slaying them today. Said once these clouds moved in, the fish quit. So I said, well, go figure. I'm coming out here to try to catch a fish. It probably had less to do with the clouds and more that the fish knew I was on my way out here. So
I was gonna say, I think
Yeah,
the fish are where the fish are, day
Yeah.
or night,
and they're going to eat when they're hungry.
when they're
Mhm.
hungry. That, me and my buddy Bill was out Saturday night, and talking about it, and sometimes it's a morning bite, sometimes it's a night bite. Sometimes you're gonna catch them shallow, sometimes you're gonna be nailing them 35 feet deep.
Mhm.
Which is one of my favorite depths.
I love 35 foot.
I do too. 40, I like that.
40 is one of my favorites.
But if I was going out tomorrow, I would probably be shallower than that,
Mhm.
just because I think that's where the fish will be.
Depends on, again, depends on a lot of things. Are we talking about the Thermocline still, or are we talking?
It could be. I haven't checked the
Depends on your lake.
Thermocline because where I've been, we've been fishing for panfish
Yeah.
because the trolling motor did. But we got that problem issue fixed. So now I'm ready to. But to tell you the truth, fellas, I'm not hearing anybody in my area catch anything yet, which is strange. This
The
time of
Ohio
year,
River is starting to turn on a little
The
bit.
Ohio River's turning on.
they should be catching them like wildfire around here in all these weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not here.
Then you had Chris Lee tearing the flathead up the other night. So
Yeah.
I know Parker's already caught one this evening. So the
Good for
flathead are off the nest.
Well,
Except in North-
I don't know yet. I think
the lake flathead should be coming.
The lake flatheads, I believe, are off the nest.
I would definitely say they are around here.
Just because the
Chad
water's
hired a
going.
guide. I did not hire a guide. Well,
Huh.
I'm gonna hire a better. He only let me catch 2 fish Saturday night. So.
Oh man.
And that's
Greenville says the biggest fish of the night Saturday night came from 35 foot.
35 foot. Yeah.
Sounds right to me.
And we caught 2, but we were trying to start. We started out trying to drag, and we kept getting. There was so much debris in the area where I usually am able to drag. We just kept getting hung up. 22 is my favorite. You dork. But we kept getting hung up, and we did catch the one that was around 35 feet, and then the second one we were set up, and I think it was 20. You know what? It was 22 feet. And then we threw about 30, 40 feet towards the river channel. So we were probably, anywhere between 25 and 35 feet deep. I couldn't tell you. It wasn't. There was a little bit of a drop off, but we're probably in the upper 20s where we caught that one on Saturday night.
Danny said the flathead they caught yesterday looked like it had been swam through a blender.
Wow.
So, yeah, he'd had a rough time.
He was like, "Yo, Adrian,
Yeah.
I did it." 48 awesome people
Oh, yeah.
hit the thumbs up. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do very much.
68 watching.
Yeah, good crowd tonight.
Good crowd.
70 to
Great
80.
topic. You guys had a home run with this one.
Well, if you appreciate the topic, Dad, it was all my idea.
Wow. Just for that. Parker Pursuit says all that debris Chad was hanging up on was all the fishing rods and phones he's dropped in the river.
No. The only one that had dropped anything in through that area was a phone and a tripod, and it was not me. That was my buddy Chris.
That was Chris Lee dropped that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, buddy.
Michael Rollo wants to know why a flathead would swim through a blender, Danny. Creel says, as soon as it cools off a bit, I've got some bumping.
Oh,
Yeah. I can't imagine because you can't really stand underneath the bimini top and bump. You can, but as soon as you go to do anything, you're into that top. And you sound like Dockery, whack, whacking it. So, Yeah, it's Dockery.
Well, you know,
Did y'all bring this topic up to help Freddie next time he out fishing?
hopefully it does help Freddie out. I felt bad for Freddie the other night. So
Art Jr. says, it's so hot, my sweat is sweating. How's that work?
wow.
Leave buddy Freddie alone. He tried.
I have to go out and mow the yard when it's hot like this, first thing in the morning. And if I wake you up because you're my neighbor, it's just tough cookies. Because I'm going to be done. Oh, Creole, I appreciate your comment, but I got a bad message from Mr. Dockery. It was terrible.
He said he doesn't want to Dockery up his bimini top. I'll take care of it.
He sent me a nasty message.
Stand two. That's because just because I know what I'm talking about, don't mean I can actually, do it half the time.
Danny says flatheads use blenders to make margaritas to get a taste of what Chad's putting in the water out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're losing it, fellas.
It's falling apart. We did good. We held 50 minutes.
Here, I'll try to reel this back in real quick because we talked about it earlier a little bit, but finding the bait. I think Josh, you touched on it a little bit at the beginning. Those shad that are back here in that
pocket,
that little pocket right there. But finding the bait even out in the middle of those lakes, right, that are moving across that thermocline and stuff. You got to find where the bait's at, and I think that's to Stan 3's comment about me not catching fish. I can't ever find the flipping bait out there. So
James Allbaugh. James Allbaugh, welcome, my friend.
Hey, James.
Creel says Dockery messages Laura and makes her abuse him. They're ganging up on me. You gotta watch old Dockery. He's funny like that.
You know what? Maybe we should all start a group chat with just Laura, and we could all team up on Creole.
No, I'm not in on that because I know how that works when it's in reverse, and it is never a good thing for me.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll start one with Laura and Cindy.
No, let's not do that either. Annie says, does Thermocline affect pH levels? I do not think so.
I don't think it would. I don't think it would. It doesn't change the the content, mineral content in the water.
Yeah, I don't see that affecting it at all. And I don't think sunshine affects the pH level much, if any.
More runoff than anything else. What you're surrounding
That's
that,
exactly right. That's right. Creole, my friend, I'm just trying to help you out. Yeah, I haven't said nothing about that all night, and I'm going to leave it there alone tonight. Oh man!
Always remember, payback is real.
That is correct, James. That is correct. But yeah, while we're on this topic of Thermocline, it's a great topic, and I think that you guys covered it very well tonight. If our viewers ever have anything like this that you would like us to go over and discuss, give our opinions on, please just send one of us a message.
Yeah.
We would love to try to hit the things for you that you want to hear about. We try to come up with the greatest content we can for all of our viewers, as so everyone else does. But sometimes it's a struggle to find new content. And a lot of times, some of the stuff that we've been over before has changed since the last time we done it 8 or 9 years ago. So we try to do that too. But anytime you have any subjects or anything that you'd like for us to visit with you about or try to explain or go over, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I do have something that Cindy come in here and reminded me
I
about.
was going to remind you earlier, and I forgot. And then we got
Okay. We get a lot of people sending messages and cards and different things over the years, and it's always been appreciated. Whether it was just a note in a card, or if somebody sent us a T-shirt or a hat. We've had so much stuff and been so very fortunate to have so many people that was very kind to us over the years. But I got a card in the mail the other day, and if you guys don't mind, I'd like to read it to you. This I don't know what she done with the envelope. Oh, it was addressed to Catfish Weekly, and there was a return address, but no return name. And it said, enjoy listening to Catfish Weekly and Panfish Nation podcasts. Very entertaining and informative. I sold my boat a few years ago when my kids went to college, and I have not been fishing as much as I would like. The show helps me feel connected to the fishing world. A friend of mine opened a pomme de terre. It's an eating place. I can't pronounce it. Last year near the dam in Pomme de Terre, and they have barbecue on one side and Mexican on the other side. Who ain't gonna like that?
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. I hope your family gets a chance to enjoy a meal if Cindy lets you go. I recommend the shrimp tacos.
Oh, there you go.
Got to try that. Next time we're over there, I'm going to be going. And it says, keep up the good work. We appreciate it. And signed, Harold. Now, Harold, I don't know you. I would love to meet you and shake your hand sometime. I thank you for what you've done for sending us this stuff. It's amazing. These thank you cards and notes that come from people, I should have kept them over the years. I didn't know we was going to be doing this 10 years down the road. But they mean more to me and Cindy than you guys can ever imagine. And Chad and Josh will understand that as time goes along. But we work hard to bring you guys good content. All we want is to make our viewers happy. And we want to thank you all for everything that you do for us. And glad that you appreciate it, Harold, because it means the world to us. And I've got some of these. I have out in the garage where I used to do the show, I have a picture that a little girl colored, and I've told this story before. And we was at a Monsters on the Ohio tournament, I believe, and she brought this out at night and give it to me, and we brought it home, and Cindy put it in the plastic cover, and it's still out there, taped to the thing that was behind my show, where we done the show out there. And this little girl now is a star softball player. And she's not a little baby or a little 2 or 3, 4, 5-year-old, however old she was. She's a star ball player. And she may or may not remember giving me that, but I've still got it. And
that's awesome.
We have several things like that. So it's really, really cool. And I appreciate it so much, Harold. I will hang on to this because it means a lot to me, and thank you for everything you've done. Thank you so much. Don't forget, Mark's not going to have a show tonight, fellas. I got to check some messages.
Steve, thank you for that super sticker, by the way.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it very much.
JG Hill, I agree. He says maybe the world should send more letters.
You know, I see a time in our future when there's not going to be a post office. Everything's going to be done through email and things like that. Yeah. And I think that's fine if that's the way it's going to go. But for a guy that grew up remembering half-cent stamps, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of people that remember them, but I do. And I'm going to miss stuff like that. One of the things that I got as a real young lad growing up my grandfather was a hardcore Baptist minister, and he sent me a letter one time through the mail, and I think it was a 2-cent stamp on it because I used to collect some stamps, and it said Pastor Lyle Stokes, and I thought, what in the, who's this from? And I looked up there, and it had my granddad's name on it. And that was the only letter I ever got from him. And he typed it, and he had one of the old typewriters that you had to beat the crap out of the keys.
Oh, yeah.
This was back in the 1960s, and that was probably the most important letter to me that I ever received in my childhood, because he took the time to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So it meant a lot, and this one does too.
Yep. I still have a handwritten letter from my grandmother from when I graduated. That was one of the only letters I've ever gotten.
Yep. Creel said feedback is awesome, especially when it is what y'all taught me. Helped me catch fish type comments. That's true. Nothing's better. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the best ones. Those make you feel good.
They do. This wouldn't make me feel good. James says 8 p.m. and it's 103.
I don't know. It makes me try to feel kind of good that it isn't that here. So
yeah, you keep that down there with you. We don't need any of that. 922 says still have a book of half-cent stamps in the dresser drawer. Wow, that's awesome.
That's neat.
Hey, Lyle, guess what? We got one more thing here real quick.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
We got some bragging board this week.
Let
me get that.
I see that because that's become one of my favorite parts of the show. Parker said,
I almost clicked on the dockery beating the dock roof one, but
that would have been okay too.
That would have been okay, but we're not going to do that one. So let's run this real quickly. We haven't had a bragging board in a few weeks, but we got some pictures this week. So here we go.
There we go.
All right, folks, it's time once again to take a look at the Catfish Weekly bragging board. This is for the week of July 17th, 2023. Up first, we have Danny Stone's granddaughter, Coda, with her very first shark. This was caught using shrimp while down in Florida with her grandpa, Danny Stone. Congratulations, Coda. Austin with his first Mississippi River flathead catfish. This 12-pound flathead was caught while fishing with Danny Stone Outdoors. David Greenwell with a new personal best blue catfish of 23 pounds caught during the Bait Shop vs. Blues Crew Live this past Saturday on my channel, The Weekend Angler. James Dockery with another slab crappie. This was one of a full limit he caught last week. Congratulations, James. You make it look easy. Miss Telly from Hooks and Hammocks with an awesome white bass she caught while fishing at Watts Bar Lake. This white bass went on to be used as catfish bait. Great fish, Telly. Congratulations. Don't forget that you too can be featured on the Catfish Weekly bragging board. To be eligible, the fish needs to have been caught within the past 14 days, but we accept pictures of any species of fish that you want to send. To get on the bragging board, send the information shown on the screen to pics@theweekendangler.com. Email us those photos. We'll get you on the bragging board. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great week.
Outstanding job on that, Josh.
Awesome pictures.
That was great. You guys, when you catch these fish, send Josh these pictures. This is an idea that Josh come up with. I think it's an outstanding addition to our show, and it's a good way for people to show people their skills and what they've accomplished. And I really enjoy the kids stuff. And it doesn't have to be catfish. I should have sent my picture of my sunfish in I caught the other day. Big Bill's catfishing. Welcome, buddy.
Can I get you guys to meet me? I've got a storm coming in. I got to get the outboard fired up.
All right, buddy.
We'll finish it up. I got
We
you
should.
muted.
There was somebody here.
What did you find?
I was something I was seeing, and I'm trying to go back and find it.
Roger.
Yes, D, that is correct. Congratulations. Oh, right there. Parker says, Lyle must have loved watching the Pony Express delivering the mail. Jerry, I've been nothing but nice to you. But I would have expected no less.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, that's all right. I won't be here one of these days for you guys to kick around.
Better stick around for a long, long time, my friend.
Yeah, I hope so.
But great show. Yeah, great topic tonight, though. I did like it.
It was a lot of fun. And like I say, if there's anything that any of you guys that watch our show would like us to go over, we're more than happy to do it. And it doesn't have to be technical stuff. If you got one of the greatest shows we've done, Chad, was the one with Josh explaining electrical stuff.
Yeah.
So anything like that, we're happy to try to help you with, because if anybody's having problems with that, you won't be the only one, I promise. There'll be somebody else. So
Yeah, hey, none of us know it all, but we can. That's why we have these kind of stuff and these talks to help each
That's
other
right.
out and spill what little bit of knowledge one of us might have.
That's exactly right. And we're happy to do it. Chad, great show tonight. And I know Josh is traveling. He's trying to get in
Booking it.
for the storm. Yeah, for the storm hits. Looks like Jerry's boat's running pretty good.
It does look like it's running pretty darn good.
But I don't have anything else if you don't.
No, the only other thing that I have is I hope that Josh takes those. I see 2 holes opportunities to put something like a rotten fish down there before he gets it back to Jerry in a couple of days. But besides that, I hope everybody has a good week. I guess I'm getting run out of my own show this week because we lost because of Brian. He couldn't catch any fish that had any size in it. I had to do all the hard work, Lyle, on Saturday night. So
please explain.
Well, we got called out by the what are they calling them? The Blues Clues? Blues Clue? I don't know. J-Dog, Mike Greenwell, and Mr. Chris Lee from Hooks and Hammocks challenged the bait shop, and we came up a few pounds short on Saturday night, so we lost a bet. They're going to take over the bait shop. They're going to host the show. That's
a little scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been told that they can have whoever they want on. They can invite whatever guest they want, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Oh boy, this is going to be at 7:00 on your channel.
Yeah, this will be over on Fields to Water at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So we'll
make
see
sure
what they have
to tune into that. Well, Mark and I will be live Wednesday night with the Panfish Nation show. We'll be on at 7:00, so be sure to tune in over there. We'll have some good information for you, and we'll continue telling you about the giveaway that we have for our members. And we're working on a membership giveaway for Catfish Weekly, so be sure to stay tuned for that because it's going to be a good one. Other than that, we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah. Make sure you please hit that thumbs up on your way out if you already have not.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.